Hi guys! It's Pretzl Cosplay here, and today I have a new tutorial for you. I want to show you how to make this enormous hat that you can wear for a Lady Dimitrescu cosplay out of EVA foam. And if you don't want to go to the hassle to make the pattern for the hat yourself, then you can download it from my website. I will link it in the description below. And then, without further ado, let's get into the video. This project is quite simple, so that also makes it beginner friendly. So let's start quickly. First we need some foam. I'm using 5mm thick, high density EVA foam from Mink. And I'm just drawing the shape of the big brim for this hat on the foam with a ballpoint pen. Of course you can also use a metallic or a white marker to draw the lines, but I feel that with a ballpoint pen you can also see it. For the top of the hat that goes over the head, I need 8 times this piece. Now it's time to cut out the foam. To cut the foam, it's really important that you use a sharp knife, so you get clean cuts into the foam. To sharpen the knife, you can use a special knife sharpener, but you can also use some simple sanding paper. It all works, but it's really important that you keep sharpening your knife. For this hat, I only make straight cuts into the foam, so no angled cuts. For other projects, angled cuts can be very useful, but we only need straight cuts for this project. Here I'm cutting out the little pieces that we need 8 of for the top of the hat. And again, I make straight cuts into the foam, and I use a sharp knife, so I get really clean cuts that are easier to glue together. So here we have the big brim that's still closed in the middle, and the 8 pieces for the top of the hat. To glue the EVA foam, I use a glue that's called Duracol. It's a contact adhesive. And I also use a little squeeze bottle to put the glue in, which prevents it from drying out. So I only use a little bit of glue into the bottle, and the rest I keep in the jar or in the can, so it keeps wet and the shelf life is longer. And then I apply the glue onto the foam in a really thin layer. And I don't do this only on one side, but also on the other side that I want to glue together. And it's really important to do this on both sides, because that will really make the glue stick super well. And then after some minutes, the glue will be a little bit dry and it will look matte and not shiny anymore and not so wet anymore. And then it's ready to stick the 2 pieces together. As you can see here, I just close the seam where the 2 pieces meet, and I carefully make sure that it's exactly on the right spot, if you know what I mean. Otherwise the seam will be very clear to see, and we want it to be nearly invisible, because that makes it look like the hat is shaped out of 1 piece of foam instead of 8 pieces that are glued together. I keep repeating gluing these pieces together until I have the final shape for the top of the hat. And every time I try to glue them as neatly as I can, so that the seams where I glued the pieces together will be nearly invisible, and that's what we want. Now I'm gluing together the 2 halves for the top of the hat, and that's the most tricky part for the gluing, but we can do it. I'm using high density EVA foam for this hat, but it's also possible to use low density EVA foam. They will both work well for this hat. Low density EVA foam will just be a little bit softer, but it's still strong and sturdy enough for a hat of this shape. Now let's see how big of a hole we need to cut into the brim of the hat, and then just cut this hole out of the hat. Of course, again, with a sharp knife. so we get clean cuts. And also make sure to put a cutting mat underneath, because otherwise you will cut into your table and we don't want that. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I will link it in the description below. Okay, now let's glue the final pieces of the hat together. Let's check where it fits and then add a little bit of contact glue to the edge of the hole inside the brim. I don't know how we should call it otherwise. And also to the bottom edge of the top of the hat. Again, both thin layers of glue, and then when the glue has dried a bit and become tacky and not wet anymore, I can carefully put both pieces together and really make sure that they align, so the hat won't be wonky or oddly shaped. And after this crafting, of course, you can paint the hat if you would want to, with some flexible foam paint like Hex Flex, for example, or Plastidip. And then to finish it off, add a little bit of black fabric around the top of the hat, so that it really looks like Lady Dimitrescu's hat. I'm sure you can make this easy project in less than a day. So now you know how you can make a cool big hat like this, just with EVA foam. I hope you liked this video and that you can use these techniques in your own projects. And if you liked the video, then be sure to give me a thumbs up. And of course also subscribe to the channel so you won't miss my other tutorial videos. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!